Hello, I'm Geoff Kersey, and this subject that I'm going to do today is Cley Mill in Norfolk. It presents us with the problem of how to make a building look circular and get that rounded effect. It's also a very good lesson in simplification because it's quite a complex structure. The first thing though is for me to put some masking fluid on. The sails themselves are quite complex and they're white against a darker coloured sky. So I'm going to use a fine brush and some masking fluid. I'm just going to rub the wet masking fluid brush on a bit of soap, and that acts as a barrier and stops the masking fluid gluing up all the bristles. And with this fine brush we'll start with the structure of these sails. The blue masking fluid really helps with this because it's so much more visible, and it's just a case of making sure that where I want white paper later on, I've used the masking fluid to achieve that. It enables me to paint the sky really freely with a large brush. We'll get some masking fluid onto these rooftops as well. One thing about Norfolk is I really like the red pantile rooftops against the blue of the sky. And if I want those to be a bright orangey red, I need again to have clean white paper behind them. So while the masking fluid's drying, I'm just going to mix two washes for the sky. I've got a number 16 brush. I need to mix plenty of colour. It can really cause problems for you if you're painting wet in wet and halfway through you run out of paint. So I'll mix plenty of colour. Firstly, cobalt blue, and then a mixture of ultramarine blue and water. I'm going to wash the brush thoroughly and then lay a wash of clean water over the whole sky area. Of course, we now get the benefit of the masking fluid because I've not got anything to paint carefully round. I can just sweep across freely with the big brush, and all the important shapes are protected by the masking fluid. It's important that once you've wet the background, you don't lose any time and you go in straight away with the washes. So I'm going to start in the lower part of the sky with the cobalt blue wash. Just laying it in. If any little areas of white are left, that can help. It can look like a bit of cloud, so it doesn't matter about covering the paper entirely. Now I'm going to get a brush full of ultramarine blue and lay that in more towards the top of the sky. So the colour of the sky is a bit warmer and a bit stronger towards the top, and a bit paler and cooler towards the horizon, which helps create a feeling of distance in the painting. And that's that stage completed, so we'll leave it to dry. Now that the sky's thoroughly dried, I'm just going to use the tip of my finger to rub away the masking fluid. And you can see how that nice rich blue behind it has given us a contrast with the white. And there we've got the sails straight away. I need to make sure that I get rid of every bit so I've got a nice clean surface for the next stage. And the next stage is to mix some colour now for the brickwork on the mill. I'm going to take a number 8 brush and mix some raw sienna with burnt sienna. Get me that nice orangey red colour for the brick. Not too much burnt sienna or it can look more like terracotta. So now that that colour's mixed, I'm going to use the large detailer brush. I'm starting at the top, taking care to leave out the little shapes, the little rectangular shapes for the windows. Sticking to the shape that I've protected with the masking fluid. This nice warm orangey red colour. I want it to look like the sun's shining on the wall of the windmill. Working right down to the bottom to where it meets the ground. I'm just trying to work rapidly because I don't want this to dry halfway through being painted. So make sure when you mix your colour for this, you've got plenty of colour. If you've got a bit too much, that doesn't matter. You'll use it before the end of the picture. The problem happens when you have to stop halfway through and mix some more. And then you get a line halfway down it where you started painting again. Well, now that that's dry, I've mixed some cobalt blue and rose madder to create a shadow colour, and then a rich dark brown which will also go on the shadow side of the windmill. So firstly, with the detailer brush, I'm getting a brush full of the cobalt blue and rose madder and taking that down the right hand side because the light is coming from the left. Now as I run that down there, I'm getting some more of the raw sienna and burnt sienna colour and encouraging that to merge in. Clean water at the top there to merge it, and then some clean water where I've got this line forming in the middle, so that I start to get the feeling that the building is rounded. A bit more of the shadow colour. And then again, a damp clean brush, just with clean water on it, to help it to merge in. And then before it all dries, I've got some of the dark brown. This is burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And there's some quite strong shadow. It's so strong under there that it's almost black, a real rich dark brown. I can put that in with this colour. Working right across to that side. And this is really for the side of the mill that is furthest away from the light. Now while that's mixed, there's a little building here which has got a lot of, it's a wooden little outbuilding, but it's got quite a lot of pitch on it, so this mixture of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue is ideal for that, leaving a little space for the window. And while I've still got that colour on my brush, there's another little building here, a little wooden outbuilding that's painted in this really dark pitch colour. Now before I go back to work at the top of the mill, I need to leave that to dry so I don't smudge it with my hand.